numerology.com, Facebook, The Numbers Queen, and Instagram, Sarayip1111. Here for my weekly aloha, starting a little bit earlier today so that me and my baby bump can go to prenatal yoga. Just to let you know, from next week, we'll actually be moving to Thursday nights as a trial from 6:15 p.m. AEST, Queensland time. So thanks everyone who'll be joining this live, and also to everyone who'll be watching the replay. Wow, so welcome to 2021. It's just all turned up at the same time like buses, hasn't it? So some people are already have already stopped breathing. Other people are sort of jumping in with glee, but it's a bit of a free-for-all energy, isn't it? Straight away, I'd be really interested to know how you're feeling already in this first week. Feel free to put that in comments. And again, I always do question time on these calls. It's one of your rare chances to connect with me one-to-one, so feel free to put questions in there. Just a reminder, it's not so much personal readings as sort of general spiritual questions about numerology or palmistry, repeating numbers, dreams, spirits, things where I guess we could help lots of people by answering the question. But yeah, feel free to try me and I'll just let you know whether I can answer it or not on the call. And I do get back to everyone in comments usually within a day or two. So welcome everyone to a universal 5-year of radical truth and freedom. I've just run my annual forecast on the 3rd of January. It was huge, had about 66 people, and the replay is coming out in the next day or so. So what that included was a month-by-month rundown of the numerology, Western astrology, we had some Chinese astrology overviews, key dates, just general sort of forecast tips from me. We had in total, I think, 11 meditations came through on the call. There were 2 energy clearings and 9 life path meditations and affirmations. So, the way my work works is I do plenty of preparation, make sure I'm nice and clear. And then I guess the 1111 team turn up, so it was another epic event. I think the replay is about 4 hours. And it sounds like a long time, but really, what would you give to know what next year is about? To have that trailer could certainly save you 10 times that amount in worry alone. So that'll be coming out soon. Keep an eye out. So let's talk about some themes I've already noticed coming up in readings and in the world around me. I think the biggest one, so when I work with life paths in numerology, that's the sum of your date of birth reduced. You can read about that at sarayip.com under Find Your Life Path. The life path 4s were in the spotlight, and I'm laughing because we've got 31 people on the call, which adds to 4. And I was saying in my forecast on Sunday that they're all needing a really good rest. It's like they've been going at 200 miles an hour and they're finally sort of switching over, sort of like handing on the relay button. Now I've got the Life Path 5s coming in to the spotlight. But Life Path 4s know the score, and there's something here where we all experienced that 4 energy until about a week ago. And so a lot of us now know the raw truth of our lives, where we really truly stand financially, socially, emotionally, and spiritually. We've been given our spiritual report cards. Some people haven't opened the envelope yet, and some people have, and I'm not judging you either way. But I encourage you to take that leap of faith sooner rather than later. You'd be pleasantly surprised at how far you've come. So I do readings for a living, and I've never come across a client whose spirit wasn't proud of. And that's not about me being a Pollyanna. In fact, I'm quite the scrutinizer. I'm actually quite a critical, observant person, but I've always found there's something profound people have achieved by the time, they come in. And if you see 1111, understand it's an honor. You've actually put your hand up and said, I'd like to help the planet on a greater scale, and the universe has looked at you and looked at your record and gone, you'll do, so to speak. And so it's 444 as I say that, which I love because that's the code for last year. It's sort of last year going, see you later, bye, I'll be back in 9 years. What I'm saying is, so we've all got the raw truth now. It's about what are we going to do with it. A lot of people will go back into deception and illusion. I'm guessing though, if you're on this call and watching, that you want to stay awake and you want to go up and you want to branch out. So the themes I'm noticing is that the truth has presented itself, and it's really going to take some effort not to slam the door in its face. Please keep those doors open, at least keep it talking to you through the crack, so to speak. It's a bit like a salesperson, is it? It's like, I can help you, and you're like, I'm not sure. There's a lot of energy around at the moment of leaving unhealthy relationships. Who can relate to that? So my husband and I, we kind of specialize in 1111 seers, people who have reached second or third stage awakening, which is where generally you transition out of a 9-to-5 career and a life where people approve of you into something that's a little bit more gypsy, a little bit more ad hoc, and a lot more creative and fulfilling. And yeah, we've got a lot of people who've realized that as much as they've given to their organizations or families in 2020, they could really see how replaceable they were and what people really thought they were worth. And so again, I just encourage you, if you're in that position, to reach out. I have lots of little classes, I have these forecasts, but there are people who can help you right now to believe that you're not washed up and you're not finished and it's not the end of the world. Those are the people, if you surround yourself with them, you'll look back in 10 years and be so proud of yourself. So please reach out. There are people who believe you deserve a second chance. I've also noticed the 5 energies coming in straight away with androgyny. I was talking about how this will be a good year for the minority to become the majority. A lot of people who've felt very dispossessed until now in mainstream media and things like that have actually now discovered they're of interest to others. You know, people are actually ready for their messages. Straight after my forecast, actually, I was talking about that understanding of trans rights and androgyny, and we're all sort of activating our male and female sides at the same time now, so more coming from soul. I actually got an email from a client who's wanting to do gender transition, which I saw as a bit of a confirmation that's a topic that we need to be talking about. In fact, in my Change for Good Money webinar, it's one of the key meditations, meeting your other gendered self. Because whatever you are here, it's like cutting a figure out of a piece of paper. The rest of you is somewhere else in the universe, and you're still intimately connected. So often when you, in this 3D body, you can't access something like, you can't imagine yourself being financially free or being able to speak your truth or being able to attract a soulmate. That's because it's not in here. You know, they're always like, oh, you have all the answers. I'm like, what if we need to expand the definition of you? What if actually there's more to you and that part of you has the answers, the capital Y? So what I'm saying is, in that meditation, in the money webinar, we connect with, you know, all that we really are, our higher self. Makes a big, huge instant difference. So lots of blending and androgyny energy. And again, let me know in comments if that's resonating. And there's just a lot also of the uniting of opposites I'm picking up at the moment now. Quite a lot of you have already been moving in this direction for some time, especially if you've seen repeating numbers for a few years. It's usually at least a 5 to 9 year journey to really get comfortable with. I know when I met my twin flame Chris on TV, it really was worlds colliding. You know, even our palmistry is totally opposite. I met him reading his hand, so I knew that. But I'll just give you even an example that was coming to mind. So I come from a migrant refugee family. Money was also always an issue. Survival was always a massive issue. My dad, when he was little, you know, during typhoons in Hong Kong, the roof would blow off. They had to share, you know, a flat with dozens and dozens of people, for example. So when we came to Australia, or when my family came to Australia, you know, we had an aircon and it didn't really work. But there was always that sense of, you should be grateful, you know, that you even have an aircon. So even though I couldn't sleep, there was often this feeling that I couldn't say anything because it would seem ungrateful. Then of course I married a man whose childhood home has like 7 air conditioners. And I learned actually how to spend a bit of money on myself, and actually how to receive more, and to feel worthy of stuff. Whereas perhaps, you know, some of the lessoning he's getting from me is the simplification. So just understand, especially if you're looking for partners this year in business and things like that, it could be that they're actually quite opposite to you, and that's what you really need, because it actually gives both people permission to have kind of zones of influence in their own kingdoms. It's really, really healthy. It can work super well. That sense of homogenization where everyone has to be the same size 10, make $1 million a year, it's really dying out. It doesn't work for anyone. So that sense of blending, and people coming together from different sort of almost like different planets, that's all I'm feeling that. So I want to take you through some cards I've pulled, and it's like a little mini forecast for everyone watching and everyone who'll be watching. So I do encourage you to share the video. I mean, this is a fairly gentle introduction to this type of work. It's free, and like I said, there's always questions, so it's got a really like lovely positive energy. And I'm very grateful if you do share it. It does make a huge difference. So here's the deck I want to introduce to you today. I just love to promote creators, you know, people who do things from scratch. This is an Australian produced deck. So this is called the Chakra Insight Oracle. And it was produced by Karen Sangster and Amy Edwards. So they're both from New South Wales. That was my home state originally, so Sydney. It's just really lovely, nice big cards, and very vibrant. So I want to talk to you about 3 cards to represent things that you're going to be coming up with in the next week, and maybe how you could graciously bring them into your life without that sort of fight or flight. So here's the first card. The first card is guidance. The number is 47, which is interesting because in numerology that adds to 11. Master number for enlightenment and meeting in the middle path. 47 is also the vibration of phrases like mental health, mental illness, and meditation. Sometimes that's the defining difference between those 2 polarities, as well as perhaps some other practical support. So what it's saying, this card, is that we're in a period of very high communication with the spirit world. Perhaps you're getting it through dreams, meditations, license plates, technology. It's normalizing. It's actually becoming the new trend, and it's just saying, understand that the support and love and signs are going to be flying in for the rest of our time on the planet. This is a really exciting time. If you, for example, were a child who used to be able to see spirit, or you have children, it's like finally everyone's starting to remember that we came from somewhere. So that's really important. There's going to be high spiritual guidance, so keep your ears peeled. Mommy. I've just got a little person trying to come in. Just give me 1 sec. He's my spirit guide. Hey, little person. Which little person is this? Charlie, Mummy's still on a phone call. You gotta let go of the door to come in. Where's your daddy? Hey, Chris? Chris? Hey, Chris? Chris? No.
It's not already died.
Yes.
She's sleepy.
Right. Okay, so for the 43 people who are watching, we have some friendly little people who looks like they're going to be joining the call. Forrest, do you want to come and say hey? All right, well, we'll just have to work around it. You know, one of the things I talked about on my forecast, we've tried so hard to sanitize our lives, so that if we have children, we like pretend we don't have them. That people actually don't always know the reality of working around others, because we don't let them see it. And I think it's actually really healthy, you know, to have interruptions sometime. It's a lot more natural. So here's the next card. And this is what's so funny, right? Because look at the card. There's no accidents. It's family. You know, my kids are really psychic, so perhaps they knew I was going to pull this one. And it's talking about family and nest eggs. And there's something here of, you know, leave something of yourself, of your energy and time, so that your family can enjoy you too. You know, don't spend all your energy on pleasing your superiors, because we're just continuing that chain of economic slavery. So setting some time and money and energy aside for yourself, your family, it's just the greatest gift you could give the planet, because that love will spread. Okay, and this is also a card that's saying for a lot of you, you're looking around for tribe. I'm just going to try one more time to close the door. Just give me 5 minutes, guys. Thanks everyone for your patience. It's a good old comedy over here. So here's the next card, grounding. Now, a lot of us have heard the term used. It's almost become fashionable. Oh, you just need to ground yourself. But not a lot of people kind of look deep into that term. Like, it's a lot more than just putting your bare feet on the ground. Obviously, that's nice. But if you've got your bare feet on the ground, your mind's still going at 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's kind of like swallowing a supplement while still, I don't know, packing your head with social media and working in a toxic workplace. It's not going to make that much of a difference. You know, if I had to give you some sort of, like I said, deeper examples of grounding, it would be things like reflecting on how quickly do you recover from stress, you know, from interruptions, from dis-ease. You know, do you have that resilience? Because that's more of a sign of health than how we look or what we're measuring. Grounding, I think, is also being able at any moment in time to be able to rattle off your priorities in that moment and in your life. It's sort of having that clear direction foremost. So we're in a 5 universal year, and that looks like a propeller. And what it means is whatever you are being will expand very quickly this year. What I'm saying is we'll get instant feedback. Whereas last year there was a lot of muddly energy. I feel like this energy is actually quite clear. In Chinese astrology, for example, it's the metal ox. So it's a very determined energy, and it's good for people who have a plan. And I've often said, you know, good planning attracts good planners. So an example of that is being realistic with, for example, how many people you could help in a week, making that really clear and sticking to it until you find something better. I know when I book in with, you know, therapists, counselors, whoever, accountants, I love when someone actually has a diary. Like, it's a worry for me when they say I can just fit you in whenever, because you think it's not that stable a structure. Yeah, you know, too much pressure and it'll all fall down. So again, if you've got any questions about what I've said, you're resonating, put it in comments. I'm going to be checking them really soon. And yeah, hopefully this will be resonating. So those are the 3 cards for this week. And again, it's just the Chakra Insight Oracle. I'm not paid to promote this. I just really believe in diversity. A long time ago, I actually would only use Hay House decks. Some of you might know that company. I was sort of a bit obsessive about their work. I think it's partly because I wanted to be published by them. I sort of saw them as the big jackpot once I entered the New Age industry about 10 years ago. And then I actually had the privilege of reading the hands of some of the global heads and the Australian heads and things like that. And for whatever reason, you know, didn't come to anything really for me, although a lot of my friends have published with them. And then at some point I sort of understood that I was blocking love. So what I did, I actually had this moment in time where I put all my Hay House stuff outside my office just to see, you know, just to detox. And I had the most incredible shift. I actually just got massive new ideas. I was really creative. I felt like a little baby and really excited about the psychic work again. For some reason, I guess I just had too much of the same energy. So actually the cards are still outside my office. Every now and then I bring them in. I mean, there's some lovely things in there, but I've sort of moved towards more indie decks, indie where it's sort of self-produced, and I've done the same with my food. Some of you may have done this, especially again if you see 1111. A lot of people will change their diets up. It's really common to try vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, paleo. That's actually part of the awakening, because as you do that, you sort of learn about different types of people and cultures. Obviously, my preference is that you stay flexible and you listen to your body. Things can change from season to season. So where I was going with this is I've gone indie with my food, I've gone indie with my media, I try to support local content creators, and I find that that's given me a lot of confidence, because it takes courage to put your ideas into the world. So I feel like if you purchase and support people who actually have courage, not only do you increase that in the world, there's people who have a voice and are willing to use it, but you take that into your body, like you remind yourself that you are just as capable. So less mass-produced, hey? More self-produced. That's a real strong theme for this year. Yeah, and just the last picture I kept getting for the people watching this call, it's like we're all getting taller. Has anyone been feeling that? And I think what it is like I've actually noticed, I started looking at the ceiling, I started looking at the sky, I even started revising my bucket list so it was more magnificent and less, I don't know, pragmatic. And I feel like it's almost like the spirit world has come in and just said, okay, let's meet in the middle, and this is the turning point year of that. So this is a bit of a joke, but as a very tall person, I'm 6 foot, so I'm in the top 1% of Asian females. And actually, when I go overseas, some people think I'm a drag queen. All the joy, right? So when you're really tall, there's actually a lot of research that shows sometimes it can shorten your life expectancy because of accidents. Like you just tend to walk into things, and like I remember reading that going, I can relate. But I do feel almost like we're spiritually getting taller, and we just need to be a little careful of being a little absent-minded or clumsy as we sort of grow into our highest self energy, and just really look after your feet, look after your feet right now. So let's have a look at questions and start winding up. So just give me a sec while I have a scroll through. Okay, so lots of people here were on the forecast, very grateful. A lot of people are seeing animals. Well, I'm happy to hear that, because if there's animals, it means that firstly you're paying attention, but secondly that you're in touch with your true nature, because you are an animal. You're not a vegetable or mineral, right? I mean, if you are, I'd love to meet you because you'd be super special, but it's like you're just really getting in touch with your feelings. And the 5 is the 5 senses, so this is a very sensual year. It's very much about experiencing life fresh again. And people are saying they're seeing a lot of birds. Again, no surprise. It's easier for spirit to use birds to contact us. It's a lighter frequency. I've got someone who's asked, do I find some life paths I'm more drawn to numerology, and which ones? Yes, 100%. However, it's got to be said, like attracts like. So as a master number life path 11, maybe a third of my clients have master numbers as a life path, or in their charts probably up to 50, 60, 80%. I don't even know. And I think that's because I really get that energy. I've studied it for a decade. I write about it, and I know how delicate that is. It's very easy for master numbers to shut down. It's actually very easy for them to self-destruct. And someone who's walking that fine line every day like a tightrope walker, I just wrote about the Flying Wallanders, the family of tightrope walkers, and Nick Wallander, who's a 33. I really know what that feels like. I'm speaking from very authentic experience. So I find master number people tend to like numerology. Maybe it's the ego thing. They're like, oh wow, I'm a master, which is actually why I sometimes prefer to call it a double number. to sort of release a little bit of that weirdness. I find life path 7s really like it. In fact, most of my first articles were about life path 7s because often they love to study, they love the truth. And numerology gets you to the truth quicker. It's like instant recognition of other people's good. For example, I often work with people's family tree, and a lot of times people find out, I've talked about this in forecasts before, you know, maybe their mum or dad is the same life path as them, and you just literally see all the lights go on. And so for me, life path 7s and master numbers seem to like it. In terms of skepticals, yeah, there's definitely those ones. So I find life path 3s and 9s, not to pick on them, but they are really clever people. And I mean, like often like professionals or CEOs, or they're very clever people. And so sometimes I find they just need a little bit more proof or a little bit more time. They don't like to just be told. So for example, I find they more come in if they're really in a bit of a tight spot. Okay, what else have I got here in questions? Okay, so everyone's saying hi to my kids. My kids, I'm sure, are lapping that up. Okay, so I've got someone who's saying, yeah, look, she's meeting with her managers tomorrow to create a happy, healthy work environment. So thanks for the validation. I think I mentioned this on the last call, or maybe it was my forecast. You know, a true leader, and this is usually used in the context of female leader, a true female leader, she holds the door open for the woman after her. And like I talk a lot about busting cult thinking. There's plenty of women out there sabotaging other women, and we can't pretend that doesn't exist. It 100% exists. So all I'm saying is if you're looking for someone to mentor you, someone to look up to, look at how they treat those people coming after them, because it's really telling. It's like when you go on a first date and the person like swears at the waiter. It's a real giveaway. Look at how they treat the people coming after them. Okay, other questions? Anything else? Affirmations for healing, do they work? You know, I find the love language kind of makes a difference there. So I've written an article about one of my love languages is words of affirmation. So for me, I mentioned on the last call, I had a meeting with a financial planner. I was feeling really nervous. It's one of my vulnerable areas, I guess. And so I read like 100 testimonials for the, you know, the business, just to get myself up again. So for me, words really work. And if you're a words person, you'll love what I do because I use words very kindly and gently. So yes, affirmations work for me. However, you have to back them up with action, and you have to, you know, change them regularly. So in the 2021 forecast coming out, I've got very specific affirmations for each life path for this year. They're only like a minute each, but I have focused so much energy into them. I think you'll find they're a lovely zap. So for some people, affirmations don't work as much. You might see in their numerology or palmistry, they're more of a practical, earthy type. For them, actions speak louder than words. So have a look at things like the 5 love languages. If you love music though, you know, affirmations will often work, and that's why I say record your affirmations in your own voice, make them into a song, it supercharges them. A couple of people are saying they're having trouble eating and sleeping. Me too. 2 days before my forecast, so was that 1st of Jan? No sleep, nothing. I literally felt like everyone's spirit guides came in for the class and just sat on my front lawn with little like picnic baskets. So in the old days, I would panic, because in the old days, I believed that to be responsible and healthy, I had to have 8 solid hours between this time and this time. And what happened is when I had kids, I realized that was going to break me, because it's totally unrealistic when you have a newborn or a young child, for most parents, to be able to get them to behave. So what worked for me was getting educated and learning that until recently, a lot of people woke up in the middle of the night to work. Very common in a lot of cultures. No issues, just have a little siesta in the day. It's more about how you feel. And things like moon cycles affect it. So what I did is I went and had a float. A float is like a sensory deprivation chamber, and they say, you know, 1 hour is like equivalent to several hours. Felt great after that. Did some deep meditations. That's how I get through those periods. I don't judge myself. I just let it be, and I know I'll catch up at some point. Last couple of questions. a few life path 5 saying, yeah, they do feel like this is the year. It is. Enjoy it. Lots of hints in my my forecast. So everyone got like a 5-minute one, and the 5's got like a 8 or 10-minute one. Yeah, people are relating to the tall feeling. Couple of last questions before we wind up tonight. Remember, I'm back next week. What do I find are some alternatives to cleansing your home or space? Someone's using sage, it's giving her headaches. Have a look at my Develop Your Intuition workshop. I use intention. Firstly, think of the sage plantations they're having to, like, you know, create for all the hippies. Like, I'm an environmental scientist, so I try to look beyond what is marketed to us as spiritual. Things like, you know, avocado being healthy, yeah, but, you know, what happens to all the other crops that are not being grown? So all I'm saying is, if sage is giving you a headache, it's a big red flag. I would highly recommend things like chimes. Some of you have seen my chakra chimes. I'll just show you again. So chakra chimes, again, these are made by, you know, a local lady over here, Elfin Chimes, Elfin Harmonics actually they're called. Tuning forks are great. Clapping is great. Did you know you can clear your space just by clapping? So I'll give you an example for the person who asked. So I could literally, and I like to use my voice just to get myself in the zone. I'd say, you know, each of those claps is going to clear 10% of the energy in this room. So I'd be like, feels really clear in here right now. So some people sort of laugh at this kind of approach, but let me explain something. When you don't believe in your capacity to be a creator and powerful, you do need a lot of props. You need a lot of instruments and tools and things to lean on, because you don't believe in yourself and you haven't got the evidence that you are magical and powerful. But as you start to realize, I'm a miracle, you know, I've created my body from a couple of cells and my thoughts ripple across the universe, you find you just don't need as much to get the result. You can literally just visualize, you know, the big white light vortex with the vacuum cleaner. You can use a couple of chimes or symbols. So understand there's a bit of a give and take between how internally powerful you feel and how much external stuff you need to feel clean and perfect. Okay, a couple of last questions. There's a 7 on the call who's a numerologist. Very cool. Thank you. Welcome. Someone's asked, she's a 9. Is there any guidance for a dream career? Please have a look at my forecast, because I just, you know, it's already being created. It's nice and clean, and it's on things like that. And also my money workshop might be useful. Someone's asked about Palo Santo. Yeah, look, it's definitely an option. Some people really like it. The smell doesn't work for me, and I just encourage you to try to find sustainable sources. Last couple of questions. Someone's saying she feels really disorganized regarding her work. She's got a lot of 3 numerology, and I'm laughing because as I looked at the call, it was like 33 minutes. So I will just overarchingly answer your question. Firstly, please have a look at findyourlifepath@seriep.com. I've got videos. I've got posts on that 3 energy. You can go really deep with that stuff. 3 is the triangle. So the 3 journey, wherever it is in your chart, your life path, your name, etc., it's about choices. It's about the solar plexus. It's about choices. And the idea is that when you have a lot of 3s, no matter what you do, you can always see something better around the corner. It's this really optimistic, childlike energy. And that's the benefit of things like numerology, is instead of going, that's wrong, I should just stick to one thing, which is, of course, what someone with a lot of 1s would say or something. You know, the 3 can go, that's how I function. That's completely normal, and it doesn't take away from me enjoying what I'm going to focus on right now. So this brings me to a reading I did recently. A lot of people are like, yeah, stand up for yourself, fight the bullies, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, cool. And it's still very much dividing up the world. What I said to that person is, you need to stand up to yourself. That's not as popular. That's self-discipline. That's the 5 throat energy. And it's where you say, that's enough, inner critic. I've got things to do, they don't involve you, you can go on a little short holiday over there. My Develop Your Intuition workshop has specific practices for containing your inner critic in a loving way and just putting it to one side. There are techniques you can use to make that voice softer. Last couple of questions. Yep, someone's got a 9 who's super skeptical. Look, 9s have had a lot of lives on earth. No surprise they're skeptical of other people. If you've looked into my blog, you'll know skeptics are created, not born. We're all born believers. You came all the way from heaven, squeezed yourself, a lot of us squeezed yourselves through a tiny gap to be born. You thought there was something here worth experiencing. You were born intensely hopeful. But it's true that in that first experience of birth and the first years, we don't always get encouraged to keep that hope alive. Maybe people only come to us when they want something, or they want to control us or take our energy. So we end up skeptical. But as I've said on so many of my calls, this is like one of my mottos: it's never too late to have a happy childhood. You can reprogram yourself to find intense joy in being alive again. And it starts with connecting with people who've done it, because it's a skill set. Last couple of questions. Got someone who's a 26-8, says she can't find a lot of people like her. Is it common to hide your spirituality? I've got a lot of good articles and videos on the 26-8. So firstly, have a look at my site and my mum's one. 8 is the only closed life path number. Obviously, you can't be a 0 life path, hey? So 8s particularly take their time to find what works for them, and they really cannot be rushed. And when they rush, things just break, because the 8 energy is healing the karmic chakra, which I consider a lot to do with the connection with the human race. So there can be a very deep mistrust of going public, and there's a very strong like private side. So what I'd say is, you're an 8 and you're spiritual. I've got plenty of them in my circle, like for example Kate Denning, another palm reader. She's an 8, and it's more that 8s like to run their own shop. So if you want to find them, you have to go to their business, you have to employ them, you have to pay them. They don't waste their time. Or maybe even you might meet them in charity. So they're very discriminating with where they put their energy. So it's just about knowing where to look. It's like if we went bird watching and I'd say this bird only appears in this type of tree. Yeah, I hope that helps. 8s are very specific. So really look at where would you like to hang out, and you'll find some 8s there. And if not specific 8s you're looking for, the people who are vibing to what you're looking for. Last couple of questions. Someone's saying, can I still access the money course? Yeah. So the way I run my business is I charge premium prices for one-on-ones, because I have almost got 3 kids. Give me another 6 weeks. Also, I'm a very delicate energy. I'm super empathic. I pick up on stuff like weeks before people come in. So I have to really modulate like how much contact I have. So there's premium prices for my one-on-ones. However, I try to make my classes really affordable. So yes, they're all online, and I do these Q&As obviously to help you get to know me, but also to understand that we need a variety. You know, in the spiritual industry, you've got a lot of people who just do one thing. And what I've noticed the most is a lot of practitioners are reluctant to teach, which is a tragedy. They've got so much wealth and they're so afraid to charge for it or let it out. And that to me is so sad, because it means a lot of us have nothing to go on. Like, these people move on and they don't leave anything behind. So I'm big on leaving a legacy, and it's why I've got 500 blogs. I've got all these little webinars, and most of them are under 100. Okay, last couple of questions. Okay, yeah, lots of affirmations. Someone's saying they're seeing a lot of tigers. So yeah, tigers are one of the totems for this year. I even heard there's a reference to a tiger as I walked in the room. There are 5 energies, so are lions. So especially if you're into star seeds, the felines are really helping us. I've got in 10 days this lovely crystal healing workshop with Dennis online. If you're into crystals, please have a look at that, seriap.com. Last couple of questions. Okay, I think we're almost there. Someone's asking, how do you work out your numbers? Again, there's a calculator on my site, sariyep.com, and plenty of little webinars to get you going. Obviously, by the time you get to this forecast, some of you know my work intimately, some of you are new, and I welcome all of you. I guess the best way to answer you, if you want to know more, join my community. I have a Patreon community. We started it 6 months ago. It's just got the nicest, coolest people. And we just hit $11 a month last night, which was quite beautiful. Even though I've been doing this work since 11/11/11, I still get astonished by the perfection of the moment. And in that group, a lot of people have experienced breakthroughs just from belonging. This is not just me marketing, like it's $5 or $11 a month. You know, it's really just, I want people to meet each other. But they're just getting major epiphanies because they're not being judged. You know, how much more would you be contributing to the world if people were actually clapping instead of throwing darts at you? 10, 20, 50 times more, yeah? It's all about ecosystem. So it's this lovely ecosystem. Check it out, patreon.com, sariyep1111. Link is in my bio for this video. Just to let you know, this is the best time you could join. So the first week of the month then gives you a whole month access before the next debit on the 1st, but also the prices go up on the 1st of Feb. So this is your last few weeks just to try it, $5 US a month, just check it out. Lots of discounts, amazing people. So last couple of questions. Okay, someone said, how does astrology fit with numerology? My forecast talks about that. Do I see patterns with sun signs and life paths? I definitely do, however, it's not my strongest point. I'm looking at getting some astrologers into my life and onto maybe some of those calls to help you with that. As much as I love astrology, I just found, for me, it wasn't as quick as numerology, and I found there's a lot more filtering. There's a lot more sort of cultural references. The linguistics was more complex for me. I think I'm just a little bit more inclined to numbers, to be honest. I know it sounds a bit like funny given I'm Asian, but I think it's just in my blood. So yeah, there's definite synchronicities with astrology and numerology, and it's worth getting the different forecasts done because you'll find there'll be some overlaps with everything, especially if the practitioner is for real. So last questions. Okay, I think we're done. It's just been lovely to have you all on the call. Again, welcome to the year of radical truth and freedom. I've got 55 people on the call. It's the vibration of numerology, and I'm just grateful to have you here. I hope you'll come back. So I'm back next Thursday, 6:15 AEST, having a baby in about 6 to 8 weeks. So we're not 100% sure what it'll look like after that. If you've got some ideas, let me know. Might get some guest speakers on, get my husband doing it, get my toddlers doing it. You know, hey, why not? They've got like psychic octopus, can't they have psychic toddlers? I don't want to be accused of exploitation. So yeah, on the last note I want to mention, so after I did the webinar, I always get a massive dose of inspiration. It's just such a nice experience to be able to deliver for others. And I stayed up watching Marie Kondo. She's a life path 5 actually. She'll have a big year. And she's the one who goes through people's houses and helps them to declutter and like really love themselves as they are, but still get closer to kind of their, like a pure energy, their pure energy. And so yeah, I cleaned out my closet, started clearing out the house, and I was really inspired by this one picture I saw in one of her I think it was one of her Netflix episodes. So she's got her daughters folding, and I don't know why, but it kind of clicked something in my head. So in Asia, and I guess I'm speaking more from the Chinese perspective, we expect a lot. Like we expect our kids and our money and our businesses and our food to like really give back to us. And I've noticed, I guess, having lived in Australia, and I've got lots of clients from different cultures, sometimes they're just a little bit more chill. And that's, again, really nice. But I think there's a lot we can learn from each other. Because, you know, after I saw that picture, I was like, right, I had this experience with my 4-year-old where there was a woman sweeping. She was a volunteer at a party. She was sweeping the floor. And he actually pointed and said, "You missed a spot." And I just went, oh my God, you know, like I didn't raise you to be like that. But it just carries down. you know, through the lineage. And so I was like, what can I do? So I've got Forrest, you know, helping me with the vacuuming now, helping with the clothes. I'll have to put up some photos. And I just thought, why not? You know, why not? Because it helps him to feel really productive and he belongs, and I'm doing it anyway. So there's just something here about sharing the load more. And in that new economy, you know, maybe even not having so much gender division over who does what. Because I can tell you, the bulk of my clients, the females particularly, they're the breadwinners. And it's actually an amazing experience because, you know, for thousands of years on earth, it wasn't perhaps that common or possible for women to be educated or drive a car or run a business. So let's enjoy it, but at the same time, let's make sure we have quality of life, yeah? Otherwise, our family will miss us. Okay, so we're going to finish off. Again, super gratitude to everyone who's joined us. See you again next week. This is Sarah from sarayip.com, Facebook, The Numbers Queen, and Instagram, sarayip1111. And I look forward to connecting with you again sometime, someplace soon. Okay, 1111 double peace signs always. See you later. Bye-bye.